Hello. Today I thought we could do something a little different. I want to try to show how to use the new Hugging Face tutorial, Transformers tutorial. So let's head over to the desktop and get started. So first of all, here is the tutorial. Let's run over here to setup. And this is talking about using collab. And as you probably know, I don't like to do anything online. By the way, I want to apologize for the noise in some of my videos. The last couple of videos have been unpleasantly noisy. This has to do with my cooling solution for this system. And so hopefully what I've done today will make it a little bit less obnoxious. I won't know, of course, until I play it back, but I've moved the webcam a little further away from the CPAP machine that is cooling my Tesla K80, and it's not touching the surface where that CPAP resides, and therefore it might be better. But I won't know, as I say, until I check. And if this doesn't solve it, I'll have to think of something else. So rather than do this, I have got a I've got Visual Studio Code started up here. We get rid of the settings here. We're getting started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up here so that they're side by side. And so I'm going to CD into my Transformers directory here. And as you can see, I've got a Conda environment set up for this. So how did I do that? First of all, I did a git clone. So this is not it. I think it was a Hugging Face. No, I'm not finding it here. I'm going to have to go and show you. Over to GitHub here, and then let's find Transformers. Hugging Face Transformers here. And we can just grab the URL from here. You're probably going to want to use HTTPS for this instead of SSH. I always use SSH. But so just hit the little copy thing here, and then let me go back here. So you have to have Git on your system. If you don't have Git, it's a sudo apt install Git and hit enter. And then afterwards, it is a ICD into my code directory. And from within my code directory, I do a git clone. And then I paste in that whatever this URL is and hit enter. And I'm not going to do that because I've already done it. And just CD into it afterwards. And you'll see here that I have this Transformers thing show up in my prompt right away. That's because I have an environment set up. That's a conda create minus name transformer Python equals 3.6. And you hit return and you end up with a conda environment. If I do a conda env list, you'll see that I have a transformers environment. So once I have that set up, I cd into transformers, and I automatically get my conda environment activated because I have something called dir env set up, which is sudo apt install dir env. That installs it, and then once you have that, you have to create a file called .envrc, and then you put in this layout space anaconda space, and then the name of the environment, which in this case is transformers, and then you do a dir env allow, and once you do that, every time you cd into this, if you cd out, it will unload it. If you cd back into it, it will load it up for you. So this ends up being a good time saver. But now we have the Transformers repository, so all the code for it, and we have an environment set up. You really need to set up the environment. I don't think you necessarily need the code, but if you're going to work with Transformers, get the code. There are examples in there, and it's helpful. All right, so now, once we have this, then we go back here, and this is what we need to do. Pip install Transformers. And once we don't need to have the exclamation point. Right? We just do it this way. And paste it in here and hit return. And I'm not going to do this because it's already done. And we can see here if I do a pip list and now grep for tran, we'll see that we have Transformers 4.8.2 installed. And that's good. Now, I'm using the terminal that's inside VS Code. And the reason I'm doing this is I've switched over. I don't want to use Jupyter Notebooks anymore. So I have a video on how to do this so that you can start using VS Code instead, which I think is a better environment. And so once you get this set up like this, what you do is you go up into View, Command Palette, and you do a start typing Jupyter. And you'll see this first item here is create new blank Jupyter notebook. And you'll get this untitled one up here. And what you can do is, I think the thing to do is to rename this here. Well, you can do a save as here and change this from untitled 1 to tutorial 1. And say OK, and you'll see this changes. There's another way to do this where you can just rename it. But it's not from right clicking on it, and I forget the other way to do it. So, all right, so once this happens, now we have this guy in the tab, and why aren't we seeing it? Well, the reason we're not seeing it is because the terminal is currently full screen. And so what I'm going to do is hold the control key down and hit the left single quote, which is right above the tab key, and that will hide my my terminal. And so now we can see this. This is the first cell of the Jupyter Notebook. If I click in here, we get this little bicycle tire thing, and that means it's ready for insertion. When it's this color, then we are not in edit mode. So we have to click in here to get into edit mode, right? The other way to get this to change is if you hit the enter key, it will change to this bicycle tire thing. If you hit the escape key, it changes to this. So this is command mode, and this is edit mode. And so if you want to paste in a command or something like that, you have to be in this edit mode thing. And so we want to import transformers. So if you just hit enter, it just puts in a blank line. So that's not what we want. We want to hold down the shift key and hit enter. And this gave me a dead kernel here. And the reason that happened was because I did not choose the correct kernel down here. There we go. Let's try this again. Let me get rid of that, make sure this worked. I think it worked, but I'm not sure. So that's something to remember, is that all your kernels will show up in this dialog here that you get to by left clicking down here. And you want to choose this one. This was the Transformers kernel. When we created our environment, that's where we did our installation of the Transformers library, was within that environment. That's this environment here, Miniconda 3 ENVS Transformers. And so that's the kernel we need to use. If you actually look in this directory, you'll see a copy of Python 3.6 in there. And that's the one we need. If we tried doing it here, we would get an error. Let me just click on this. Right, now we're using a different kernel. If I run this here, it's going to tell me that, well, it should tell me that, but I don't know, maybe I may have installed Transformers there, so it's not giving me an error. Let's try it here. And let's just run this cell again. Now, they all seem to have Transformers loaded in there. Or is it defaulting back to this? It may be defaulting back to this. I really don't know for sure. But just make sure you're in there, and then you can run the import transformers command. And once you've done that, you can read all of this stuff here, and so it's saying to do this. I don't know if this is going to work. I have not had any luck before with. But we can try it. Let's open up the control left single quotes. Get this back here again, and let's try this. Paste. Yeah, it doesn't work. I don't know. I have tried this with square brackets before. It's never worked. So I don't know why. I don't know why it's in there that way, but it doesn't seem to work. So we can make sure we have the right version of Python here. We do a bang Python, no, not a bang from here. Shift left quote. Oops. Shift left quote. Oh, control left quote. There we are. So from here, if we want to do a bang Python minus version, I thought it was minus version. Minus version. Oops. And control enter. All right. So we need a space here. I had a little trouble typing today, among other things. 3.6, so that's correct. Now, if I hit escape, I'll go back into this mode, and I can double D, DD, and it will delete that cell. Don't need that in there. So now it's suggesting that we go back into our terminal, control left single quote, and it wants us to make this transformer course. We'll do that here, and then we can CD into it. And I'll teach you a little thing here. You can do CD bang dollar. Bang dollar will get the last token that was used in a command. So, this cutting and paste, it's a little bit slow. And then it's telling you to create a virtual environment. We've already done that. We've already activated our virtual environment. All right, so, and we've already done this. Although this, as I said, this sentence, you know what? Let's try something here. Let's get rid of these quotes like this and see what happens. Why is it telling me there's no pip here? I'm just going to do pip 3. All of a sudden, pip is missing. I'm back in the base environment again. I just don't understand what's going on here. All right, get me here. Maker. Oh, look what happened here. I put it in my home directory. I don't want it in my home directory. I want it here. So actually, I'm going to do an rm minus rf with that tilde slash transformers course. I don't want that there. I want it here in this directory. As course. All right, so now let's try this again. The sudo pip3 install transformers sentence piece without the quotes on it. Well, it doesn't like that either. So I don't really know why this is the case. Put the quotes on it one more time. Pip 3 is not found. pip is right there, so let me try one more thing here. Take that sudo off, see what happens. Oh, well, suddenly it's working. All right, so supposedly this is a more complete version of transformers. So sorry that took so long. Here's the command for it, pip install. Doesn't like sudo at the beginning. I'm not quite sure why I put sudo on there. Not supposed to run pip with sudo, is what I've heard. All right, complete the chapter. And let's go into transformer models and introduction. And of course, you're going to read all this stuff. You're not just going to run through it the way I'm doing here. You watch the video, and then you can read this. This is pretty much going to repeat everything that's said inside of the video. And so on and so forth. And so now we're going to learn how to use the pipeline in the next section here. Tells you what natural language processing is, etc. Next section tells you what they can do. Another video to watch, and then down here we're getting our code again. So we're going to switch back, control left, single quote to get in here, and let's get rid of this guy here. Click in there and hit escape so that we go back into command mode and just do a DD, get rid of that. And we're going to copy and paste all of this in. You see how easy it is to copy and paste in here? It's a pain in the neck inside of Jupyter Notebooks. Hold down the shift and hit enter. And look at this. This imported this pipeline here. It's set the classifier to pipeline with the sentiment analysis. Let me join these. Join this. That's not working. All right, so I guess the problem is that I need to maximize this window here. There we go. That's good. So what it's doing here is it's loading a sentiment analysis pipeline into this classifier variable. So this pipeline is an object, and this is, I guess, a one of the properties of this pipeline, of this object, and it's setting this variable to a pipeline object with this property set. And then it's taking this object here and it's passing it this sentence as an argument. And this is the output from it. It's saying that it is a positive. It's giving it a positive label with a score of 95.9%. So it's 95.98 blah, blah, blah percent certain that this is a positive statement. And we can change this to something else. We can say Huggingface is garbage. Right? And we can run this one, hold the shift down and hit enter. and it gives 99.9% certainty that this is a negative label. And Huggingface is not garbage. I have a lot of respect for these. Uh, let's change this to great and run it again. You see, it's pretty fast, and that's a good result. So let me minimize this again, or not minimize it, but restore it back here so that we could go on to the next bit here. So it's showing here that we don't have to pass one sentence to it. Let's maximize this again. We can pass a couple of sentences to it like this. What happened here? All right, so I did that by mistake here. Shift Control V here for pasting. Now it's not working. All right, so I've got a problem that I'm going to have to fix, and you don't know what it is, but I created a shortcut key for Microsoft Visual Code as Control V, and it's interfering with my paste function, so I'm going to have to get rid of that. Anyway, let's run this. Hold the shift down and hit enter, and you'll see that the first one is positive and the second one is negative, and you'll see that we passed this in here as a list. That's what this square bracket, these square brackets do. This creates a list, and this list has two items in it. The first one, item 0, is I've been waiting for Huggingface course my whole life, and the second one, number 1, is I hate this so much. And that worked fine. And let's restore this with, I'm on Pop OS, so maximize and restore are super key M. M for maximize, not hard to remember. And so, you know, I'm going to get rid of this this command here because it's going to cause me problems. So I'm just going to I'm hitting the super key and typing keyboard. And here's the shortcuts here, and customize shortcuts, and custom shortcuts, and then VS Code here. This is super, oh, that's super V. So why is Control V not working? I'm going to modify this shortcut anyway, and I'm going to call this super. I'm trying to find one that's not being used already. I'm going to call it Super B. Super B is, no, Super B is my browser. Super N. Let's get rid of this. Set the shortcut. Let's try Super N. I don't care about this. I don't use Super N for notifications. So let's see if that worked. Well, I'll test it later, but let's see if I can paste now with Control D. Yeah, that's working again. So I don't know why that would have messed it up, but it did. And so now this is working. So just read all this, and let's see, here's some more code. And so what we can do is we can run it down here, or we can delete all of this. Usually when you see this from statement here, it means that it's doing something new. So you don't need the stuff above it necessarily. So Control C for this. Come over here. click here, Control V, and there it is. Hold down the Shift and hit Enter. And what are we doing here? We're doing zero-shot classification, and for this, we need a classifier, and it's downloading a model for this. So this is getting a 1.63 gigabyte model from Huggingface, and then it's going to use it to do zero-shot classification. So what we're going to be able to do is pass it some sentences, and those will be classified. Anyway, I'm going to stop here because I think that you are at a point, if you followed this far, you will be able to take this whole course and learn about transformers from these wonderful guys at Huggingface. And I thank you for joining me, and I hope you learned something and enjoyed it. And thank you. Please subscribe and hit the like button, etc. Leave comments. Thank you very much.